Give a massive round of applause for the star of Major Crimes and Battlestar Galactica and much more, the brilliant Mary McDonnell!
Hello. How are you?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. I mean, thank you for coming to Birmingham and spending some time with us, your fans, this weekend. It has been an absolute pleasure to welcome you here.
Thank you.
So, there is a lot we've got to talk about. So let's start with Battlestar Galactica, one of the shows that first drew me to your when I first was because I was a fan of the original series, then became a fan of the series that you did.
Right.
When you first got offered that role, what was your reaction? Because Battlestar Galactica, up until that point, the original series was one of the most beloved series on American television. It had, I believe, the original series had 125 million views. Then they announced they're going to do this new show. How did you react when they said, right, I want you to play Laura Roslin?
Well, I'd never seen the original, so I'd heard of it, but I'd never seen it. I was given the script. When I read the script, it was clear to me that this was an important piece of work. So for me, it wasn't about Battlestar Galactica, the legend. It was really about the story that took place in that pilot. It was about, survival and inclusion and the other and understanding and all of those things. So it became very clear to me that I wanted to do that and to try and honor her transition from a woman who was ill-prepared to a woman who had to, run the thing.
And she had some incredible storylines. I mean, it was one of those periods and one of the shows that redefined television in terms of for sci-fi at that time. And what did you feel like was for you that moment where the character clicked with you?
I think in the pilot, when Laura Roslin took her oath of office, it kind of struck me right then, in that moment, what this experience was going to be. Because I could feel truly the absolute terror of facing the situation they were in. And we all felt it. And it was right in the pilot. And I went, oh my goodness, if this goes, it's going to be tremendously real and compelling and frightening all at once.
And for you then, when you first joined the series, did they give you an idea of where they wanted to go with Laura Roslin, or did they kind of drip feed it to you as you went?
Well, I sat down with them to have breakfast once they offered me the role, because I knew I'd be commuting to Vancouver. And I wanted to make sure that if I was going to be leaving home that much, that I would be with people that I liked. Yeah. So I met them, and I said to Ron Moore, well, how long is this role? I mean, she has cancer. How long does she live?
Yes.
And he said, she will probably, and then he goes, no, she will. She will die at the very end when they find Earth. And that was before I had shot anything.
Oh, wow.
So I knew, he said, she'll go in and out of remission. I don't know how that's going to quite play out. I don't think he'd even thought of Kamala yet. But he knew that she would die at the end. So he honored that.
And that must be kind of refreshing as an actress to actually know that there's a future in kind of a role that you're doing at that time.
I say it again.
Is it kind of refreshing for you because you know that you can trust this person?
Oh,
they've given you the exact
100%.
information.
100%. Because I think that, knowing where you end up, it's sort of like doing a very long movie.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of surprises on the way, many, for all of us, including Ron,
And the fifth Cylon, and the final five Cylons, did they give you a hint of who they were going to be, or were you just as surprised as the rest of us when you found out?
I was very surprised. The only thing I was absolutely sure of is that I would not be one. I just knew I wouldn't. Yeah. I knew I wouldn't. I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
But we were all surprised, actually.
And throughout, it's kind of one of those things. I remember speaking to Aaron Douglas, and he was getting very kind of, I think he discovered by mistake that he was going to be one, or he made it his mission to find out whether he's going to be one. So the whole cast were just completely and utterly like the rest of us on tenterhooks trying to find out. And that must have been incredible atmosphere to be on a set with.
Well, it was. I mean, but then every once in a while you just went, hey, we're pretending. You know what? It's okay. It's going to be fun if you're a Cylon. I mean, Michael Hogan was beside himself. He was furious. He did not want to be a Cylon. He felt betrayed. He was just devastated. And then, of course, he got over it. But, you know, it was very funny.
It sounds like then, from what you're saying, I mean, what we saw was this gritty, intelligent drama. But backstage, it sounds like there was there was a really good family vibe there.
Oh, imagine James Callis every day. He is so funny and relentlessly funny. So he can make the most horrible situations hilarious. So, you know, yes. And Aaron, I mean, it was tremendous fun. Big party crowd, you know. And do
you still kind of keep in touch with the guys and meet up and things?
Yeah, we do. We do.
And for you, she has some incredible arcs throughout the series, including the relationship with the Dharma, the Kamala drug you were talking about there, and the visions and everything else like that. Which was your favorite arc to do, and which was one you found more challenging as an actress to do?
I think my favorite part of the series really became the relationship with the Dharma.
Yeah.
That was the thing that surprised all of us the most, including Ron. He did not intend that. It just evolved. Because Eddie and I have quite an easy chemistry, and we became friends so quickly that it was evident that the relationship needed to go that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And it gave Laura the opportunity to feel her heart. Otherwise, she would not have through the whole thing.
Yeah.
She had to block it out. She had a traumatic past. First, she lost her whole family. Then she lost her whole country. Then they lost the planet. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, where was her heart? It couldn't be in it.
Yep.
She had to make too many decisions that were contrary to her moral code. So her heart was not enlivened. And then suddenly she was in love. So to me, that was worth the whole endeavor.
And it kind of was, it started in a place of respect, didn't it? And then it kind of evolved from there. And that last particular scene, that when you're flying over the new Earth, was that something that Ron wrote? Or was it something you came up together? Because it is an absolutely beautiful scene to watch back.
I feel like we're outside the Roman Colosseums in about, I don't know what year. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, if they start coming in with like
I
spikes
know,
and spears.
it's a little disconcerting. Let us talk in here, please. No, it was written, and it was written very simply and very purely. It was shot. We fell apart doing it, and then I was done. It was my last scene.
Wow.
The show wasn't done, but I was.
And how did you feel on that last day? I mean, obviously, it's going to be
I
kind
felt
of
really bad.
Yeah?
Really, really bad when it was done.
Was it because do you think it was because it was the end of it, you felt the end of an era, or you felt part of your life was over, do you think that's why?
I felt like it was the end of something extraordinary that you don't run into often in your career as an actor. That kind of group of people, that level of writing, that topical. It was so topical, it was so prescient. And we're in the middle of all of that now on the planet, so it's like you could feel it coming. So it was an opportunity for people, artists, to be able to feed into supporting people through a time that was becoming very confusing. We went through, the Obama-Hillary Clinton time, that thing. We just went through so much in the world together. So to have it be over was, deeply sad.
And what point did you kind of, because from that sadness...
Mind you, you don't always feel that way when projects are
true.
over.
I could imagine that must be kind of true, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been in that situation myself, but
yeah.
For you, when did you kind of, because the fans' support for your character was absolutely amazing.
I know.
And when did you first realize how much love there was out there for the show and for her?
You know when I really first realized it was the first time the entire cast went to Bonn to a convention.
Okay.
We were stunned, absolutely stunned. And it was just overwhelming. I don't remember what year that was. You guys probably know what it was. 2008. It was 2008. See, I knew. Thank you. I just found out today that I was here in Birmingham. I was here in Birmingham 9 years ago. I was. I didn't remember. I had a young woman come up to my table and said, "Here's the picture of us 9 years ago, when you came here last time." And I said, "No, darling, I've never been here." And she said, "No, you have. Look." And I said, "Oh, no, that must be from Bournemouth." And she said, "No, it was here." And we looked it up on the internet, and it was here.
Oh, wow.
How crazy is that?
It's insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because I first met you in Bournemouth many, many years ago. So I remember your trip to Bournemouth.
Right.
So, yeah.
In the snow.
Oh, in the snow and everything. And I think it's one of the first times you had snow in Bournemouth in a while as well. So you must have had a right adventure with us. But it is crazy because you don't expect when you sign on to a job like Battlestar or Closer and anything like that, you don't expect to actually get access to all these incredible people.
Right. No, you don't. I had a very long career before Battlestar Galactica, and I had never had a career. And also, the culture, we weren't that connected to fans.
Yeah.
It just was not like that. There was a separation between actors and their community. And so you kind of knew that you were doing well because you kept getting jobs, or a movie would do well, you get good response, you get good reviews, but you didn't get this kind of feedback that the world of sci-fi taught me about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know,
and now this kind of connection has spread to the entire industry, really, in fact, you know, so.
And Battlestar was actually one of the first shows that kind of brought that out into a massive market appeal again, and it feels kind of, must feel humbling for you to be been a part of that journey, and then you bring that on to shows like The Closer, which you became a character on with Sharon.
Yeah.
How did that come about for you? And what was your, because you also going into a television series again that's going to potentially run for a while maybe, and did you kind of, were you reticent to take a long-term role up again in that?
Well, no, because I was asked to do 3 episodes, so I thought it was 3 and done, and it was fun, and I got to be a pain in the ass, and I looked forward to it, and I said, of course, and then all of a sudden, it was going to be its own spin-off, and I had to somehow pivot into being nice. I was like, I don't know how we're doing this. I really don't. P.S. I didn't want to lose, you know, the B.I. Oh, no, there's children. I'm not going to say what I thought. We called her on The Closer, the fans named her this, I do believe, Darth Raider.
Yeah.
So I said to James Duff, I'm honored. I'd love to give this a shot. Let's try and pivot. Let's make this a series. But I do not want to lose Darth. And we would argue about that a lot. Like,
wow.
A lot of us were constantly saying, she's weird. But anyway, so we did lose her a bit. But then she gained so many other things, like a boyfriend, you know.
She was an incredible character for you to play. And I'm sure everyone here agrees, it was so refreshing to see a really strong female presence on our television screen. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
And when you get all these great storylines, what was the one that you actually thought, I really resonate with this one? You
know, I don't know. It's sort of, I think there was a general feeling about Sharon's ability to, despite all resistance, stay inside her moral center. Mm-hmm. And so that whenever that theme came up strongly within an episode, and I had to really tangle with that out loud, those were my favorite. And
the response to the way the character was handled towards the end was absolutely incredible. And when did you first become a wind of it? And also, there was a piece that you wrote slightly after that in Variety. How long did it take you to actually kind of put your thoughts into words? Because it's hats off to you. The piece is brilliantly written, and it must have taken you a real long time, I would imagine. I'm not, but to kind of put that together. How long did you do, and what was your reaction?
This is hilarious. It was an evolution. My realization of how all of you actually felt about the way that Sharon ended. Let me go back a bit. I knew that Sharon would end the way she did before we began shooting the last season. Mm. So I was not betrayed. I was not, it wasn't that typical television thing. You get the script and find out you're dying. Yeah. They sat down with me. We talked it through. He told me his vision. And although I wasn't crazy about the idea, I understood from his point of view what he was trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I was not a producer. I was not in the position, to, and I honored it. I really, truly, sincerely did. What happened over the course of that season and what had begun to happen, this is my feeling about it. I'm not sure this is not fact. My sensation was that Sharon Rader, unbeknownst to me, to James, to certainly, hello TNT, are you there? To them, a little bit Warner Brothers, although they were a little more connected. Hmm. She had become even more important to the culture after Hillary Clinton lost. Mm. And we didn't catch that. Yeah. So I feel that kind of what happened is that Sharon Rader being killed suddenly and shockingly woke up that wound that many women felt, and men, of having been betrayed by Hillary Clinton's loss, which in fact we were betrayed, and it was in fact stolen. So I sat with the reaction, thinking about all of that, and trying to understand why the reaction was so violent. And I understood everything I read. There were some brilliant feminist thinkers, some of them are in this room, who saw a pattern, is that right? A pattern, not a pattern, a pattern in this. And then Mo Ryan, the TV critic, got very involved with it and very impassioned about it. And I just kept watching and listening. And it was really, and then the fans started they changed their, what's it called? What's it called on the internet? Your what?
Profile.
Your profile, thank you. See, I don't know anything. And they changed the profile picture to my billing, because my billing disappeared in the last few episodes, and that was something none of us knew. That pissed me off. So I jumped on board with the fans, and I was like, this is fun. This is a way for all of us to act out. I loved it. And then from there, Mo wrote the piece, and I finally felt like this is time for me to speak out. I need to say something now, and I sat down and wrote it. I didn't think about it.
Hats off, because after what you'd been through, and especially after you said about the billing thing, which isn't.
It's just crass.
It's just
crass.
Yeah. There are many words I could use. That's probably the best one. But you just must have. Anyway, yeah.
No, go ahead. I must have.
I think it is just. It's from when I was discussing this with the lady backstage. Hollywood needs to get over the fact of killing strong women.
Yeah.
They need to get over that fact. They need to let strong women stay in the positions they're in. That series was successful for a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons was the fans fell in love with a strong female character that they guided them through this journey.
Thank you.
And doing what they did was just to gain a reaction. So from my personal level, I think hats off to you for the way you did it. I think it was brilliant because you handled it with such professionalism and dignity. And on behalf of, I know, all these people here today, keep doing what you're doing with the fans because we love you for it.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving us such incredible roles.
Thank you. My gosh, thank you so much.
And you have been giving back because you're doing a great podcast, the Lady Bam podcast, which...
Thank you for mentioning that.
So I'm going to have to hold my hands up here and say that I heard about it backstage. So I didn't know about this. I was gutted I didn't know. But now I do, and I will be listening to it.
Oh, it's great.
I feel like I have to be honest with you about that. But why did you decide to do that? What made you think, I'm going to do this podcast?
Well, we started with What Would Sharon Rader Do? Because we felt like, even though she was a brilliant role, she was underarticulated in certain areas. And you know, this would, I mean, I could say this with my friend James sitting here, the writer, and he would say, yeah. Like, there were certain things that he had committed to it being an ensemble. He was very focused on the character of Rusty. There were a lot of reasons. So the fans were feeling frustrated by that. I was very aware of that. I, of course, would have loved more screen time and more words. Who doesn't? But it wasn't really burning in me until I became aware of the effect that this was having out there. So I think it was Mina, wherever she is, Mina and Chelsea came up with this idea, or it might have been Chelsea originally. Why don't we do a little podcast after every episode, call it What Would Sharon Rader Do, and let the fans ask questions about her that they're not getting in the show. And in fact, I think that was part of the reason that this character deepened for people, because they started to attach the show with the podcast, with me, and it just became a bigger deal. And then we got very political during the election. We did a podcast on why millennials don't vote, and we had a little group of millennials piping in, and you know, it evolved. When the show was over and people were so devastated by the loss of Sharon Rader, we decided to keep it going. And somewhere in the midst of those, how many seasons? 6, I believe. I got the nickname Lady Bam for Badass Mary. And so we decided to call the podcast Lady Bam, and now I do the interviewing. So maybe I'll have you on. All right? Wouldn't that be great? He's awesome.
I'd love that. That'd be amazing. You just prompted a question here in my head, actually.
Yeah.
What do you think she would have done? What would Sharon have done if she would have been in your situation then? What do you think she would have done if that had happened to her? If she'd have been, like, they'd written her out and then they'd removed her from the credits of a job, what do you think she would have done?
Well, it's hard to say, because Sharon, at that point in her life, would have been very happy to walk away with Andy on some level. Sharon fought some of those feelings of injustice towards women inside this series. She had a very calm, non-reactive way of trying to continue to move things forward.
Yep.
So I may have written my little letter to Variety vis-a-vis Sharon's point of view. Had I not been playing Sharon, I'm getting really mixed up. I sound like Sybil. I don't know who I am. But I don't. I signed the wrong characters on people's pictures. I don't think I've ever been in Birmingham, and now I'm like losing it completely. But had I not been playing Sharon with her energy, I may have, Mary, reacted a little more violently, emotionally to the whole thing.
Yeah.
I might have gotten caught in that.
That makes sense.
You know, characters teach you a lot about what you need to know. That's how I've always experienced my career. You bring whatever you can to them, but really they bring more to you. And she taught me a tremendous amount about staying. Laura taught me a little bit about how to survive and about how to overcome illness and things like that, Laura Roslin. But Sharon Rader taught me how to stay cool in the pocket in a way that I don't think I've known fully prior to playing her, because I have a wicked Irish temper and I can flare up quite readily. And it doesn't always serve you in Hollywood, or particularly in Hollywood, although sometimes it serves you quite well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, she might have done the same. I don't know. Who is she? I'm talking about her like she came from nowhere. I don't know. We're sort of mixed up. I get mixed up with all my characters.
But then that's because you brought them to life, I guess. For so many years, you've brought these characters to life. They've become a part of you. That's why you probably get mixed up. And I think
Thank you. I never understood that.
But they're part of you every day, I guess, and that's the joy of, I guess, of being an actress and an actor, because you do have that ability to take these characters with you and learn from them so brilliantly. And
thank you. You know, I've never been the kind of actress, and I so admire it, and I see it particularly in British actors. I'm a big fan of British actors, of British writing, British television. Seriously, seriously big fan. I see the difference. I see it. And what I've always admired, because I spent a year in Manchester, England, going to school at the University of Manchester, and I was in a company of postgraduate students for a year, and we were performing, and I didn't get to do much because I was a bit of a misfit, so I got to observe. And for example, the actress Julie Walters was in the company, right? And I watched her, and I watched these British actors who were a few years older than me, and I realized that their ability to project character and stay separate from their internal selves was just extraordinary. I don't think I don't have that talent. And I learned that a long time ago. I have a much more synthetic interior talent that uses me and tweaks me.
yeah.
And that's really what I do well, and I know that. So it's like once you zone in, if there's any, performers out there, you know what I mean, to what you do well, life is more joyful, once you understand it. But I think that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of joyful, it's now time to open the questions from the floor, because I know these are some great people. So let's see what you've got to say. Stick your hand up and I will come round to you and we will ask away. And I believe it was your hand at the front there that I saw go up first.
Hi, Mary. I have a question. How do you deal with the fact that your work has a massive impact on your friends' life and their decisions?
How do I deal with it? I think I try to stay open to understanding what that really means, and does it matter? Does it matter not to the fans? Of course it matters, because we all love seeing things in the world of entertainment, seeing stories. I mean, human beings, we would lose ourselves completely without stories, right? But as the actor, I like to stay cognizant of the fact that there's a great impact, and I like to listen to what the impact is, but I really, really work hard on not getting my ego because you guys are so amazingly generous with your love and your support and your words and your gifts. I mean, if I don't keep a handle on this ego, I just think I'm going to believe that I'm just like the coolest shit out there, you know? And that's not going to help. So the job, as I experience it, is to receive as much as I possibly can and honor it, but try to keep level. I hope that answered.
And we have a question here in the middle.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. You made reference a moment ago to different types of acting talent with yourself more using your own personality and sort of feeding that into the characters and being able to project a separate person. We were fortunate enough to meet Michael Hogan in Vancouver a few years ago, and I could be wrong, I kind of hope not, but he didn't come across as in any way reflecting of his character from Battlestar Galactica. He was the sweetest, most quiet-spoken person. I was just wondering if there was anybody other than yourself and what you're saying in that cast that really, their character reflected their personality directly.
I think, strangely enough, Gaius Baltar and James Callis, there couldn't be a better role for him. He got to use everything that he is and just tweak it a little bit, you know what I mean? And I would have to say about Michael Hogan that I kind of disagree with you. I think Michael Hogan's character had that sweetness. It was just layered with drunkenness and damage. You know what I'm saying? But what I loved, why I thought his character was so deeply successful, was that I didn't lose Michael Hogan. He was underneath all of that sadness and grief that Colonel Ty brought with him. So that's how I saw it. But I do think James Callis and Gaius, I think Katie and Starbuck were two peas in a pod. Do you know what I mean? And Eddie, I mean, he's not a Dharma, but he is. You know what I mean? I mean, he actually will leave a message and say, Laura, it's a Dharma. I'm like, Eddie, the show has been over for how many years? Do you know what I'm saying? So there's different levels of that, but I think one of the things that Ron Moore succeeded in so well was once he got to know us, he leaned into us in the writing. And we never had to reach. Nobody had to reach. Aaron Douglas, you know what I mean? That's a brilliant writer. I hope that answered that. Thank you.
And a question at the front.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. I just love the accents.
Having watched BSG and Major Crimes,
yes,
there's quite a big similarity between Bibi Adama getting his Admiral wings and Sharon getting her Commander stars.
Yeah.
Is that something you were involved in?
None. I wasn't involved in it, but I will say that one of the reasons I did Major Crimes is because James Duff was nuts about Battlestar Galactica. He loved Laura Roslin. And so when I read that scene, we all went, wait a minute, looks a little familiar. And he goes, yep. So there was, a lot of writers will do that. They see things in a movie or in a world that they love so much that they'll find a way to recreate, a similar experience. Yeah, it was interesting. I was a little like, ooh, deja vu. Right. Reverse, right?
And we have a question from a lady here.
Hello.
Hello.
So, as a person with autism, I think it's great in Grey's Anatomy, you played a person with autism with such respect, and that's amazing. I was wondering if you had done any research before the role to get into character.
Yeah. I did. Fortunately, Shonda Rhimes, when she called me and asked me to play the role, had already set up appointments with me in Los Angeles at UCLA. And I was able to spend time with these students with autism who were UCLA students and UCLA graduate students. And they were living together and working, and they were also, UCLA was developing its educational support for people with learning challenges so that they can continue their education to any level they want to, you want to, whatever. And so I was able to meet doctors, and I was able to meet pretty much all kinds of people through Shonda's commitment to that. And we had to do it very quickly. So before she offered me the role on the telephone, I was in my car, and she told me right away, before you say no, because there's not much time, I've set you up with this meeting, and I have you over here, and you can do this, so you will have the research you need. And I still hesitated because it was too fast, I felt, but it was extremely important to her for reasons she never really explained. But I thought, you know what, this is too much of an opportunity to serve an idea and try to do it respectfully, so I jumped in. But yes, I was fortunate, and thank you for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have today with Mary, so please join me in giving a massive round of applause to the brilliant Mary McDonnell!
Thank you, everyone. This is a really, really wonderful con, and as always, you're fantastic. And thank you, sir. Your questions were amazing. Your sensitivity was lovely. And I love being with you all. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time for the brilliant Mary McDonnell, and Mary will be signing in the signing area through the rest of the afternoon, so please do pop by and say hello to her.